guys, today I'd like to take a look at a modern version of a truly classic mask design, and that is the 2011 Don Post Shock Monster. And as many of you know, the Shock Monster is a design that is quite classic in the mask collecting world. It was a mask that was originally designed in 1956 by Keith Ward for Topstone Industries, and it's a mask that was in production with Topstone for a very, very long time, and there were many variations on this mask. As you can see from this photo here, this is a photo of 3 different versions of the Shock Monster from Topstone, but there were many other variations also along the way. And they're kind of hard to come by in the Topstone version, and so I like this one because it's a crossover mask. It's a Topstone design, based on the Topstone design, but released by Don Post Studios, and so collectors of Topstone and Don Post like myself can get a Shock Monster in their collection at a relatively inexpensive price. This one is one that was available for 2 years only. It's certainly not rare, but it is somewhat scarce. You can come up with one fairly easily if you search enough. Before I go into the details of this mask specifically, I want to show a little bit more on the history of the Shock Monster itself. It was advertised extensively in Famous Monsters magazine, and actually in the world of Topstone, it was really known as, at first it was known as the Horror Zombie, but as you can see in this 1970 catalog, it was known as simply Horror. But when advertised in Famous Monsters, that's when they started using the Shock Monster name, and it was related to like a Shock broadcast or a Shock series that they had of movies, but either way they changed the name to the Shock Monster in Famous Monsters. Here you can see the single ad for the Shock Monster, a classic ad, of course. This is the Topstone Shock Monster advertised. I think it was available through the Captain Company. And then here's a multi-mask ad in Famous Monsters as well. These are all Topstone masks, of course. And so it's the design itself really was a classic of the 60s and 70s in Famous Monsters magazine. So this one, as I said, here's a photo of the first 2011 release of it from Don Post Studios, and in the final Don Post Studios catalog, here's a page showing the Shock Monster in that final catalog. And as you can see, this monster is Shock Monster is kind of well sculpted. The mask is fairly thick. It's a later Don Post, and of course they had some quality issues, but this one is cast pretty thick and painted fairly well. You can see it is painted fairly nicely. It's not done super quickly like some of the later masks that they released. This hair is stitched in, so it's not glued on. It's actually sewn into the latex. It's like a 3/4 mask, I would say, but it displays pretty well, and it's just a classic Shock Monster design. It's an easy way to get a Shock Monster into your collection, which I think everybody should, in my opinion. This is just a really cool mask, and it represents an important design in mask history. So I recommend it. Take a look for a Shock Monster from Don Post Studios and pick one up as soon as you can find one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.